New York, big city of dreams.
I'm coming straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.
What's going on? This is Ellis from Nick of Time Show, here giving you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And I'm joined today by my guy, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy with the stats and the facts.
Ryan G in the building.
Damn right he's in this building, man. We are talking that Knicks talk today. Not that much Knicks news today, so I feel like this is a good day to talk about all the free agent point guards that we can possibly get to join this Knicks squad, especially knowing that, VanVleet is out here dropping career high 35 points all willy-nilly.
Yes, sir.
It's about time to talk about that, man. You know what I mean? But before we get into that, I do want to touch on some news, some Knicks news that hit your head top recently. It's been reported that the Knicks are interested in hiring another assistant, rock star assistant, Kenny Payne, bringing the Payne from Kentucky. He seems to be like the engine, the hidden gem, as Devin Booker will call it, of the assistant coaches in that Kentucky program, working on Calipari. He has helped a bunch of big men get into the league, including Anthony Davis, Karl-Anthony Towns, and many others. Thoughts on this possible hire for the Knicks, Ryan?
Well, when you check the man's resume, it definitely seems like he's good with player development, which is something that the Knicks need with the abundance of young players that's on the Knicks roster.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also like the fact that he specializes. It seems like he specializes in getting the big men right.
Yes, big man right there.
Yeah, and if you've been checking out Mitchell Robinson's videos, especially this summer, there's a lot of potential there with Mitchell Robinson on the offensive end.
Yes, sir.
So I feel like if he's brought into the mix and he's brought in on the staff, I think that he'll be able to help Mitch Robinson on the offensive end and hopefully help teach him some post moves and help him to, utilize some of his skills that he has on the perimeter to become an offensive force and add that part to his game and have him be more than just a defensive stopper.
Absolutely. Anthony Davis himself credits Payne for developing his post game, because as he said before, he didn't have a post game before he met that man, and now all of a sudden he has one, and we know what he's doing right now. So obviously, it worked out for him. But he's also trained other people too. He's training Karl-Anthony Towns, which he's offensively, that's kind of worked out. He's trained Julius Randle, right?
Well, yeah. Offensively.
Yes. Yeah. Right, spin moves. I hope he didn't teach the spin. Yeah. I know he did teach the drop. Yeah, let's not get into that. But he also taught Will Cauley-Stein and some others that didn't, pan out so well in the NBA. But who is to say that, that's his fault? He got them in the league. He got them drafted. Now it's up to you to carry those twos on to the next level.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what I hear about him also is he's a tough-nosed, tough-minded coach who gives you the real. His goal, it seems, is to get you to throw up, Ryan. I've been reading all these stories, and people are flying off of treadmills.
Word.
People are throwing up after workouts. He is there to break you, from what I've read.
Exactly. Like, for example, in the article that you sent me, his treadmill workout is basically you have to do 2-minute jogs and then 1-minute sprint. The 2-minute jog is at 8 miles per hour. The 1-minute sprint is at 11 miles per hour. And you have to do that repeatedly for 45 minutes.
Yeah, so unless you're a gazelle or a cheetah, you might throw up the first few times. Julius Randle celebrated. He's like, I did it. He called his mom when he finished that. He's like, I did it, Ma. I finished the workout, because he failed the first few times. So I like the fact that he's not going to be easy on these kids, man. Get these kids to work. Some of these kids might crack. Some of these kids might not be here after this. I'll tell you that right now.
Word.
I'll tell you right now. But for those who survive, they should be all right. Also, though, what I like from I read is he is a tough coach, but he also gives him love as well. Because sometimes when coaches are too hard, coach teams they despise him. Just kind of how Tom Thibodeau was having problems earlier with the Timberwolves. But now, if we have this coach here, he's going to give you that tough love. But players seem to respect him because players actually come back after they've graduated, after they've been to the NBA. Players come back for tune-ups, and they still have the respect for him. If we had him, if we had Mike Woodson, who's also known as a coach who gives you that tough love and that fatherly advice as well, maybe those two guys together can help even push Tom Thibodeau further in how to balance tough love and being a good coach. Yeah.
Exactly.
That is my analysis of that situation. Hopefully we get it done. It looks like we might get it done, and it looks like we might break the bank to get it done because they're trying to get him to leave Kentucky. He's been there for 10 years. He really likes it there. But
and you have to think about it too. Like, Kentucky staff is well paid. I mean, you have to look at what they're paying Calipari. Calipari is getting paid basically NBA coach money. So you would assume that the staff is being paid similarly. So if you're going to get somebody like that to leave a program like Kentucky to come to the NBA, you're definitely going to have to pay up.
Exactly. And the thing about Dolan, the way Dolan's pockets works, that's the one thing you say about Dolan.
But Dolan will break the bank for people.
He might be the highest paid assistant in the NBA if the Knicks get him. Just look out for that. All right? And bring back Mike Miller.
Word.
All right. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. It's time, you guys. It's time to talk about the Knicks free agent point guards that could possibly join the Knicks and help stabilize this team. Point guards have been, a point of contention for this team for a long time. We've drafted Frank Ntilikina. We've brought in Ramon Sessions, Emmanuel Mudiay,
Jared Jack.
We've done it all, Ryan. We've done it all, and we're tired of it. We want to get some stabilization finally.
Exactly.
So if we want to talk about a stable point guard and free agency, you kind of have to talk about Fed VanVleet, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, the thing is with Fred, if the Knicks offer Fed VanVleet the bag, it's saying to me we're not drafting a point guard in my eyes. It's saying to me we're not drafting a point guard. We're going with a power forward or another position. Because to me, Fed VanVleet, 26 years old, in his prime, we had to get him. We would have to pay probably over 20 year up, considering he's with the Toronto Raptors, and we have to actually steal him, convince him to leave a championship contending team. We have to overpay. And if you're doing to me, that man is the starting point guard of the New York Knicks. Point blank, period.
I do have something to say about that, though.
Take it away, Ryan.
Because I do think even if the Knicks break the bank for VanVleet, I don't think it means that the Knicks may not draft a point guard, because the way Toronto uses him at times, sometimes they pair him up with Kyle Lowry in the backcourt, who's another point guard, and that's two small guards right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that VanVleet can play alongside another point guard. So I don't necessarily think that if the Knicks sign him to a big contract that they won't go after point guard in the draft. But I do believe that he's definitely going to be a starter, though. It's just a matter of, is the Knicks going to draft a big man, or if they're going to draft a point guard to play alongside him. Good
point, Ryan. Good point. Actually, too, if you really think about it, a lot of these guys on the list might be combos. So that is something to be going. But in my eyes, if we're going VanVleet, I would go power forward in the draft. In my eyes, I would go power forward, and then really see what RJ can do. Like, I feel like that opens up the floor to experiment, to see if RJ can make some plays. Since VanVleet, to me, is not a pure point guard, but a combo guard. But let's get into his stats and what you think about VanVleet's game.
Yeah, so with VanVleet. the one thing you have to recognize about this dude is that he's improved every year in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
First year in the NBA, he averaged 2.9 points a game. Second year, jumped to 8.6.
Facts.
Third year, 11 per game. And now this season, 17.8 points per game, which is a career high, obviously. Averaging a career high 6.7 assists per game.
Mm-hmm.
He's shooting 41% from the field, which is not too impressive, but he is shooting 39% from three.
Oh.
And he's shooting 43% within, the 2-point range, within the 3-point line.
Which is horrible.
And he's also averaging a career high minutes, 35.9 minutes per game. I don't know if you want me to get into like contract situation and Toronto's cap situation.
Well, get into that. Let's get into that too.
All right, so right now, VanVleet is on a 2-year, $18 million contract, which you expect that going into free agency this season is going to increase because he's playing way beyond his contract at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, so that's that. And then when you get to the Toronto's cap situation, it's interesting because going into next season, they're going to get rid of some big contracts.
Have to.
Yeah, Marc Gasol's $25 million per year is going to be off the books.
Mm-hmm.
Serge Ibaka's $23 million a year is going to be off the books.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2 big contracts right there off. Pascal Siakam's extension is going to kick in next season at $28.7 million. So when you put all that together, they said the projection for Toronto's cap space for the 2020 season is going to be $28.1 million cap space. Which means they're going to have some space to sign somebody to a big deal. Obviously, they can't bring back Gasol, Ibaka, and VanVleet. Like, somebody's going to have to go.
Exactly.
But the way I see it, like, stacked up, like, I can see them making VanVleet a priority to bring back over Gasol and Ibaka. So
absolutely,
it's going to be hard to sign him.
Absolutely. He's not a foregone conclusion at all. If anyone was to shake loose from that tree, to me, it would definitely be Ibaka or Marc Gasol. Which, if you look at our old episodes, we talked about the free agent power forwards like a month ago. So you can definitely check that out. I'll put a link in the description or a card up there as well, so you can check that out. But VanVleet to me would be the hardest to get. But at 26, this is what happens at 26. If somebody gives you the bag at 26 years old and you're in your prime, 9 times out of 10, 26-year-olds chase the bag. 9 times out of 10.
That is true.
Now, not to say that, you can't be loyal to your franchise who raised you. That could definitely happen. But I can also see that happening to a 26-year-old. Like, hey, I'm going whoever pays me. So if the Knicks overpay, I could see him leaving. Will the Knicks overpay, though, is a question. Because to me, as good as he's playing, there's still a lot of questions. Like, to me, he's a really good point guard. He's 7 3-pointers a game attempts, right? He attempts 7.1 threes a game, hits 2.8. When you're talking about the Knicks, we always talk about stretching the 4 and 3-point shooting. That gives RJ all the room he wants because RJ has been struggling going to the hole because he's just been seeing double and triple teams going to the hole all the time. So having somebody who can space the floor is going to definitely help him, which is why I like VanVleet on his team. Also, Tom Thibodeau was going to like that he plays both sides of the ball, for sure. You're not going to lose anything on that end, even though he's 6 feet. The cons for me, though, is he can't shoot under the free throw. Like, he's really bad at shooting around the rim. Like, epically. TS.
Yeah, he's definitely he's definitely a perimeter shooter. That is why he's shooting like around 41% overall, because even though he's shooting 39% from 3, his 2-point percentage is not that bad, which shows that when he needs to finish around the rim, he does not excel in that category.
Yeah, he definitely does not excel in that category. He has to improve on that end of the ball. I read something that said his TS average is one of the worst finishers in basketball every year. I saw something Athletic that he's always in the bottom 10 in finishing around the basket every year. And that's something that has has to tick up at some point. This is one of those situations where we have a Nick legend, Nick Great assistant here, Rod Strickland, he's a maestro for finishing around the hoop. Hopefully, he can get to him. He's in the conversation as being one of the assistant coaches that's supposed to be lined up to be part of the New York Knicks next season. Maybe you can help him out in that regard. He definitely needs it. The other part to this game too is he's really good, but can he carry a team? I don't know. Like, he had Siakam to help him there. Hopefully RJ and Randall will be enough. Mm-hmm. But for me, giving a player over $20 million a year, I have to see you kind of carry a team.
Yeah,
I have to know that. Like, I feel like he's the perfect complement to your complementary piece. But that money, man, that money is carried a team money to me.
Yeah, basically, if the Knicks overpay for VanVleet, they're basically overpaying for, like you said, a complimentary piece or somebody that, if you have a good team in place, he could probably maybe put you over the top a little bit.
Right.
But he's not that guy to carry a team that's under 500 and make them become an over 500 team. Like, I don't really believe he's that type of player. You need more pieces around him to actually make that work.
Exactly. So I was seeing some stat that said when Pascal Siakam was out, the team was like 5-4, hovering around 500 or something like that. So we don't have a Pascal Siakam here.
Exactly.
So that is definitely a concern. Also, other concern is, like I said before, his passing. He's not the best passer. He ranks lower in the pick and roll category. But then again, like I said, that gives RJ more opportunity to actually experiment on his playmaking abilities. So I don't, even though he's not a pure point guard, it doesn't help us in that regard. It does help us see what we can do with RJ. But I don't know. I don't know about grabbing up with Toronto overall, man. I don't know. It seems iffy.
Yeah,
it seems iffy, sure. If we do, that'll be a miracle. But I'll be worried about overpaying for him, and then having somebody else go down, and we just looking at him, and then everybody's saying he's not meant to carry the team. He's just meant to. Like I've heard that argument so many times. He's a number 2, not a number 1, but we're paying him like a number. Like that always happens to us.
Exactly. We paid him $25 million a year, but he's not a number 1.
Exactly. Which is why I know Knicks fans are over the moon about him for good reason, but I'm not sure. I'm not. I like him, but I don't love him that much.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it from a cost standpoint, the money we're going to have to pay him to kind of take him away from Toronto,
yeah,
it might not be in the Knicks' favor.
It might not be in the Knicks' favor. And I know it's an unpopular opinion right now. I'm expecting to see hate, but it is what it is.
Word.
I don't care about popular opinions. Oh, man. Next up on the board, Goran Dragic from the Miami Heat. This guy's interesting. Now, if we go the Goran Dragic route, right? To me, this is a guy you get if you're trying to draft a point guard. To me, like, he can play the backup role a little bit. He can play off ball a little bit too. Average 16 points a game, 44% from the field. Shot a good amount of threes, and I think he would fit nicely on the Knicks on a short deal. What do you think about Gordon, man?
All right, so first I'm going to say his stats right quick. So this season, Goran Dragic is averaging 16.2 points per game, 5 assists per game. Mm-hmm. He's shooting 44.1% from the field, 37% from 3, 50% from 2. So Goran Dragic, he's the type of player that he does like to shoot perimeter shots, but at the same time, he's a pretty crafty finisher. So that's pretty, good about Goran Dragic.
Yeah, hold on a second, Ryan. 3-point attempts, 5.8 3-point attempts a game, which I love. I love high volume 3-point shooters. And this guy wasn't even a high volume 3-point shooter before. He started off being a low volume 3-point shooter and said, I'm getting old. I'm stepping my game up. I'm launching from down here. and he's hitting it from 30, and he's hitting it at 37% clip, which is pretty damn
Exactly.
good. Not only that,
And I mean,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, playing in Miami, he better jack him up. That's how they play.
He better, exactly. And not only that, unlike our guy VanVleet, like Ryan said, 67% from the basket from 3 feet and in. With his little crafty finishes, man, this guy still has a touch. He's a scoring point guard through and through that can pass a little bit. Go ahead, Ryan.
Exactly. All right, so his contract situation now. So he's getting off of he's on the last year of his 5-year, $85 million contract. So he was paid pretty nicely on his previous contract, but you have to consider the fact that he's 34 years old.
Yeah.
So does he demand another big deal like that, or does he demand a smaller deal? I mean, he's still proven at 34 years old he can still play. So
Right.
that'd be interesting to see.
That will be.
Now Miami Heat's contract situation is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So Miami's gonna have some contracts off their books. Besides Goran Dragic's contract, Solomon Hill $12 million is gonna be off their books.
Mhm.
Myers Leonard $11 million is gonna be off the books. Jay Crowder $7.8 million is gonna be off the books, and some other players with smaller contracts like Derrick Jones or Udonis Haslem, that's $1.6 million each.
Mm-hmm.
So when you factor all that in with the fact that Jimmy Butler's deal is going to be $34 million next season, Miami's going to be $42.4 million available in cap space. But if Kelly Olynyk opts in, because Kelly Olynyk has a player option, that $42 million mark is going to drop to around $29 million, because Kelly Olynyk is going to be earning $13 million next season, and with it being COVID, you would expect that he'd opt in.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
So I mean, you can expect Miami to have a $29 million. Now their point guard situation is interesting, because at the moment, if Goran Dragic leaves, it seems like Miami's going to have to find a point guard,
Right.
or maybe they might promote Kendrick Nunn, which is one of the Rookie of the Year candidates, to the starting point guard, and just have, find a backup point guard to back him up. So I think Goran Dragic is a possibility. There's a possibility there to get him, I believe.
Yeah, I can see them. Here's the thing with them too. They are going to try to swing for the fence in free agency in 2021. So they're not going to want to have any long-term contracts. So because of that, I can't see them giving him 2 years. I can't see it.
Yep.
The Knicks, on the other hand, honestly, Ryan, I don't know what exactly they're thinking. I think they might try to be in the hunt because it's Leon Rose in the World Wide West. And we just heard, Steve Stout talking, all this. I can bring in the top free agents now that I'm here to help recruit. So him speaking like that makes me think, are the Knicks even thinking about getting any long-term contracts past next year? And the way he's posturing makes me think that's not the case. They're going to try to swing for the fence in 2021 as well. And if that's the case, then I think we'll be competing with the Heat to re-sign Goran Dragic for 1 year.
There's a possibility, but I also think that swinging for the fences, though, because when you look at the point guard market, there's not really any great point guards available. So I feel like if they're swinging the fences for a point guard, it's going to be through trade.
Right.
That's what I believe anyway.
Exactly. And that could be it. And that would definitely take us out, because we talked about the Chris Paul situation as well. If they do swing for the fences, probably would be Chris Paul, who we talked about him earlier as well. Definitely leave a link in the description to check that conversation out when we talk about trading for Chris Paul. But Dragic, I'm not mad at him, man. I'm not mad if he was a Knick and we had him for a year, or maybe Scott Perry does one of his famous 2-year option jammies. You know what I'm saying? 1 year, second year option, unguaranteed for the team. The team option. If he does something like that and kind of gives him 15, 16. They probably have to give him 19. That was just like, I don't know. Which is why I'm not sure if that's going to happen for us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see it. I don't know if I can really see it.
It's going to be tough, but like you said, if the Knicks were to get Dragic, I wouldn't be mad at it.
Me neither, because he's just the crazy thing about Dragic, dog, is he averaged 16.2 points and 5 assists. But when you look at his shots, I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe he only shot the ball like 6 times a game. He's shooting the ball 5 to 6 times a game and averaging 16 points. Come on, man. That's a value pick, dog. That's bang for your buck.
I mean, that's crazy. Yeah,
that's bang for your buck. The only side you're losing the only thing you're losing really is the defensive end because he's lost a step.
Exactly.
As far as foot speed.
But then again, Dragic was never a great defender anyway. So the fact that he's 34 now, it's like you can't expect much from him when it comes to defense.
And then even so, like, so he lost some of defense. When he was on the Heat, he had the worst defensive rating on the team at 109.7.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But he also led the Heat in fourth quarter points. So Dragic man is one of those things where you see how it goes. Maybe you give him a 1-year deal. If they decide they want to try to save money and go away from Dragic and try to sign a Teague or another free agent point guard instead of him, then maybe we snatch him up for a year, have him be a stabilizing force for our guys and whatever point guard we draft. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And one more tidbit about Dragic, too. 75th percentile in pick and roll. Pretty decent pick and roll player, even though he doesn't go to it a lot. Always got a little pick and roll. Staple in the NBA. Maybe Tom Thibodeau would like to employ that with us.
Yeah.
Boom.
And Tibbs love his veterans, too. So
exactly. Tibbs, the vets. All right. You know what? That's going to bring us into our next player. Jeff Teague, an all-time Thibodeau friend. So I'm very curious to see what Ryan thinks about this because Jeff Teague he's not the best defensively. He's been very vocal about his disdain for Tom Thibodeau's defensive schemes.
Yeah,
but it seems like Tom really wanted him there when he was there. So I wonder how Jeff feels about him now. Remains to be seen.
True that.
Ryan, take it away, though. What do you think about Jeff Teague and the possibility of him joining the Knicks?
All right, so Jeff Teague, he's had a pretty rocky season last year, or I should say this season. So he started his season in Minnesota. In Minnesota, he played 34 games, started only 13. He averaged 13.2 points per game. Mm-hmm. 6.1 assists per game on 44.8% shooting from the field, 38% from 3.
Not bad.
47% from 2.
Oh, pretty good.
Then, as you know, he got traded to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
That's this season. And when he got to Atlanta, things just started to plummet because, number one, Atlanta already has Trae Young.
Right.
So you already know Trae Young is going to be the top dog at point guard. So he was relegated to the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So in Atlanta, his points per game dropped to 7.7 points per game. His assists dropped to 4 a game. He averaged he shot 41.2% from the field, 33% from 3, 43% from 2. So it's interesting when you look at Teague because clearly it seems like as he's gotten older, he's kind of fallen off a bit, and
yeah.
I think his numbers in Atlanta are deceiving because he was going to a new team,
right.
New system,
right,
playing backup to a young point guard.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you can't really look at the Atlanta stats that much. But his time in Minnesota, he was a decent point guard. So
yeah, definitely a decent point guard. But like I said, when you look at a lot of those defensive clips that we were talking about, why the defense didn't work in the Timberwolves. He was a part of a lot of the reason why those defensive schemes didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's that. But also, listen, this guy is still a really good pick and roll point guard. When I say good, really good, I mean really, really good. Like 91st percentile as a pick and roll ball handler, like top 7 in the NBA. So if you want somebody who's a pick and roll heavy point guard for the Knicks, can make things a little bit easier for everybody on the offensive end anyway. Jeff Teague might be a guy that can help that out. And you know what? Who knows what his mindset is too? Does he want a starting point guard role right now? He's 31 years old. Maybe he's willing to take a backseat if he gets a little money for a 1-year deal. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a possibility. But also, it's funny because when you look at Atlanta's cap situation, Atlanta has the space. So Atlanta's going to have $48.4 million available.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that it just depends on how they view Teague.
Right.
Because Teague, this season he's earning $19 million a year. So he's going to be coming off a pretty hefty contract.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that, conventional wisdom would tell you, his numbers drop, so
He'll cost less.
he's going to demand less in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you might be able to get him on a cut price. And like you said, he's still a viable point guard off the pick and roll. The only thing that's going to determine whether the Knicks go after him or not is Thibodeau's relationship with Teague, since he coached him in Minnesota. So it's like, how is their relationship at the moment? Is Teague willing to play for Tom Thibodeau again? Is Tom Thibodeau willing to bring back Teague for a season? Just have a veteran run the point.
Right.
So I think that's going to be the major factor to determine whether the Knicks are even going to go after Teague or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that makes me think that might not happen because I feel like Teague wasn't feeling him, man.
Yeah.
I feel like Teague wasn't feeling him.
And then the fact that it's like he couldn't understand Thibodeau's defensive schemes because there's a lot of tape on Teague playing defense in Minnesota under Tom Thibodeau, and it's just a mess all over. So
absolutely. And he didn't seem to understand his rotations as well. He was very critical of his rotations, talking about how tired he was getting and giving other guys a shot. So who knows what's going to happen there. But I'm going to bring somebody else up that I feel like likes Tom Thibodeau, who's also an ex-Tom Thibodeau player, and that is DJ Augustin. Yes, things that make you go, DJ Augustin. Yes.
So DJ Augustin in Orlando, he's averaging 10.4 points a game, 4.6 assists per game.
Mm-hmm.
He's shooting 40% from the field, which is not good.
Right.
35% from 3, 44% from 2. The thing with DJ Augustin is that he's coming off a pretty decent contract, 4 years, $29 million, $7.2 million a year, which sounds pretty reasonable for his skill set. So maybe you can get him at a cut price.
Right.
Yeah, and then when you look at Orlando's situation, cap-wise, Orlando's going to have around roughly $25 million in cap space because they have Vucevic, which is on a $26 million per year contract. Aaron Gordon, $18 million a year. Fournier has a player option for $17.1 million, so you expect him to probably opt in.
Right.
Terrence Ross, $13 million. Markelle Fultz, $12.2 million. So Orlando Magic has a lot of contracts on their roster going into future years. So it's interesting. Like DJ Augustin, they have Fultz. Fultz is going to probably run the point.
Right.
So, but DJ Augustin is just a matter of, do they see him as a viable backup point guard, or are they willing to let him go?
I feel like he can be had, man. I feel like he can be had. I feel like if you pay him a little bit more, then if you pay him $10 million, $11 million, he can be had. I also feel like even though his shooting numbers are lower, 40% from the field, not good, but I think that has to do more with his injury this year and less with him. And I think a full season, fully healthy, he'll be right back to where he was years before. Because if you look at the 2018-2019 season, he was shooting 47% from the field.
Yeah.
And then 45% from the field as well. Also, if you're looking at his three-point percentages, he's hit over 40. He hit around 40% of his threes like 7 times in his career.
Yeah.
So this down year, I don't take it too seriously because it's what he's done in Orlando before, when he's done it in his career before. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be. I feel like he's gonna be fine and he's gonna rebound for sure. And on top of that, when Tom Thibodeau was hired by the Knicks, he made a statement that was favorable for Tom Thibodeau. He talked about how much he loved to play for him, and he didn't understand what these other stuff other people were talking about, but he liked being coached hard by Tom Thibodeau, and he appreciated it. So he put that together. To me, that says that is definitely a person who can come back and reunite with Tom. And listen, Tom resurrected his career when he was in Chicago. Because back in the day, DJ Augustin, he's playing for Toronto. Toronto waived him. Came to Chicago. Tom dusted him off. All of a sudden, he's shooting 40% from three. So there's something there. There could be something there. This guy, I feel like he can do dual roles. He can play the backup point guard sometimes. He can be a stabilizing force like he was for Markelle Fultz in Orlando. And he can play the starter if we need to. I feel like, and he can play off ball, just like a few other people. So I feel like DJ Augustin might be a good value pick. Only 9 or 10 million. Not going to cost us 19. Knows Tom. This could be something. Possibly.
Possibly a match made in heaven.
Possibly. We will see. And yeah, also not a big pick and roll point guard, you know. But he did 72 percentile. I'll take it.
Yeah.
72% down.
All you need to know that shoots J. That's all you need to know.
I'm sorry. You know what? He is a big pick and roll point guard. How stupid of me. He kills in the pick and roll. He kills in the pick and roll.
What percentile?
72 percentile. But he runs it at 55% of the time. He runs it at 55% of the time.
So he's good on pick and roll, but they don't run it for him often enough.
No, he runs it a lot. He runs it league leading 55% of the time.
All right.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Is 55% of the time really a lot, though?
Yeah. 55% of your offense? Think about that.
Well, I guess so. That's like 1 out of every 2 plays. So
yeah. Exactly.
I guess so.
Mm-hmm. Moving on. Your guy, Ryan brought this guy up. Reggie Jackson, man. Reggie Jackson's a Knicks killer, man. Every time we play this cat, he kills us, dog. I'm tired of this man. He looks older than what he is, but he moves faster than everybody. And it gets on my nerves.
Word.
But he's a free agent now. And he might be, and will he be a Knick or would you like him to be a Knick? We'll talk about that. What do you think about Reggie Jackson, man? Moved on from the Detroit Pistons where he used to kick our ass all the time. Is now with the Los Angeles Clippers.
All right, so Reggie Jackson. He started the season with the Pistons. 14.9 points per game, 5.1 assists per game. He only shot 38% from the field, which is very inefficient. 37% from 3, 38.8% from 2. But you also have to factor in that he was coming off an injury. So that may have contributed to his poor numbers while he was in Detroit. Detroit's trying to rebuild, so they shipped him to the Clippers. And with the Clippers, his numbers definitely improved. He's averaging less points per game, 9.9 points per game, but his field goal percentage has risen to 48.5% from the field, 44% from 3, and he's shooting 52.8% in the paint. So I think that he's one of those players that if he's surrounded with the right pieces, he can be very effective.
Absolutely. And it's funny when you make these mid-season trades, you don't always expect it to go well. But it worked out well for him. That's for sure.
Most definitely. And to throw in one more thing, this is why I believe Reggie Jackson is going to probably move on from the Clippers. The Clippers are probably going to have no chance to re-sign him because when you look at the Clippers team salary chart, Paul George at $35.4 million. Kawhi Leonard at 34.3 mil. And then you have a number of other players like Patrick Beverley, 13.3 mil, etc. So when you really go down the list, the Clippers are going to have barely 7 mil available in cap space. And Reggie Jackson is worth probably at least 15 mil or so.
Right.
So the chances of the Clippers actually re-signing him is very low in my belief. So Reggie Jackson is somebody that if the Knicks want him, they can definitely go and get him. But the question is he going to be a good fit on the Knicks?
Exactly.
That I don't know.
Yeah, like, listen, I'll say this. Right now, anybody who can put up more threes than Elfrid Payton might be a better fit for us. I'll say that. Because Elfrid Payton didn't even make a 3-point a game. Like, he shot 23% or something like that. Surprisingly enough, Reggie's 3-point percentage has climbed, and I can't believe that. I'm like, I don't see it. But he doesn't put him up at a frequent pace. You know what I mean? It's a little bit modest. But
I think also though, I think you have to take into the fact the team he's on. Because the Clippers have so many weapons. You know, how is he even able to put up shots really when you have Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lou Williams, and all these other dudes on the squad? So I think because of that, I think that's the reason why Reggie Jackson isn't putting up shots at a high clip.
Right. What would his role on the Knicks be though? Is like, if you're on the Knicks, is RJ gonna be having the ball more, or is it gonna be him? I feel like they probably share the duties. It'll be interesting to see what his role will be if he was ever a Knick. I'll expect him to put up. What I like about some of these other guards that we mentioned earlier is the 3-point attempts. You know what I mean? It's not just that they hit a high percentage, but they were throwing up 4 or 5, 6, 7 3-point attempts a game. Reggie's isn't that high, but at least I know that he can keep people somewhat honest by hitting it at a decent clip if he continues at this pace.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because right now he's putting up, let's see. Do I have his numbers? 3-point, 35%, 3-point percent.
I think with the Clippers, he's putting up at least 3 something per game.
3.6. Okay, not bad. Not super bad. I'm not super opposed to it. I don't hate it. I don't hate a short-term deal for Reggie Jackson.
Here's my only beef with Reggie Jackson, though. Because I feel like he's the type of player that if you put him on a good team, he'll be efficient. But if you go by his years in Detroit, I feel like he's the type of player that if he knows that he's on a bad team, he's going to try to take over way too often. And I feel like he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to try to force it a bit more than he should. And I'm not sure if that type of point guard is what the Knicks need at the moment, especially when you're trying to develop RJ and other young players. So that's the only beef I have with Reggie Jackson. Like, I feel like he's that type of player where if he's on a good team, he can just fit in and be efficient. But when it's just him by himself and he's with like other guys that are not as good, I feel like he tries to take over too much and, you know, puts up inefficient shots and things of that nature.
Nah, I feel you. If that's the case, I definitely don't want that. We don't need any of that here. I want somebody who's more going to mold some people and try to take them to the next level and not just try to take over. I want them to kind of be a leader. And you're absolutely right. Honorable mention though, shout out to Fritz Alexander. He mentioned Darren Collison. Now I know Darren Collison hasn't been in the league in a while, and he was saying that maybe he'll come out of retirement because of this pandemic stuff and try to play in the league. I'm not sure if he comes out of retirement, he would try to come to the Knicks. I feel like if he did that, he would try to go more for a contender if he's coming out of retirement. But I do know a few years ago, I was definitely looking at Darren Collison thinking he would be a nice piece on the Knicks because he was a good 3-point shooter, could pass pretty well, somebody who learned from Chris Paul. and just a nice offensive piece for the Knicks in general. And I feel like he would be a mentor guy for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if the Knicks sign Darren Collison, it's probably going to be a pipe dream because the man was thinking about coming back to the NBA mid-season.
Right.
He had to work out with the Lakers, and he refused to come back, and that's the Lakers. So it's like...
Exactly. So it's just a stretch, but I can.
You never know.
You never know. I know some people might be like, "What about Rajon Rondo?"
Yeah, he has a player option. He's going back.
To me, that's Elfrid Payton with a slightly better jumper.
Yeah.
Slightly better 3-point shoot.
And slightly better vision.
Slightly better. Way better vision, actually. I think.
Yeah.
My bad,
I
Elfrid
said
Payton.
as a joke. I actually said as a joke. It's way better. It's way better vision.
My bad.
But it's slightly.
Yeah. Big slight there.
Yeah, big slightly.
Yeah, more of a chip on the shoulder for sure.
Word.
All right, now it's time for one of our favorite parts of the show. The Ooh picks. Ooh picks are usually the best plays of the week, but there's no Knicks basketball, so I'm just going to say happy birthday, Patrick Ewing, and show a couple of highlights right here.
Happy birthday, Pat. One of the greatest Knicks of all time.
Exactly, all time. And sub ooh to Carmelo Anthony for hitting her. I'm not going to hit the button because it's cheating. So shout out to you, Carmelo, for hitting... Shout out to Carmelo for hitting the game winner. Once Nick, always a Knicks. I'm not hitting a ooh because hitting the ooh makes it a ooh pick for real.
Word.
But the rule on the show is no ooh picks for anybody that's not a Knick.
Exactly.
So I'm not hitting the boo button for you. But
oh yeah, big up Melo. 15th now on the all-time scoring list. Big up Melo.
Exactly. 15. You can at least clap.
Yes.
Clapping for that. All right. Moving on to our other favorite part of the show. The bruh picks. Bruh picks are usually the worst plays of the week or just some stupid life stuff that happened. I have a small bruh pick this week. Not anything crazy, but it was just interesting. It was interesting because, I'm a music guy. Everybody here loves music. And like everybody, I was interested in the versus battle between 2 Chainz and Rick Ross. And I'm listening to this interview on The Breakfast Club, and 2 Chainz is going off. He's going off on everybody about how they counted him out, and they counted me out, and why they already count me out and so forth. Like I'm not the greatest, and I have all these number 1 hits and da 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 da. But then when you watch the verses, like 2 Chainz is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's Rick Ross killed him, man. He got slaughtered, and he know he got slaughtered. Yet he comes on the radio and act like no one witnessed the slaughtering.
2 Chainz, your song library does not compare to Rick Ross. I'm sorry.
It doesn't. It's okay.
It is what it is.
It's okay. You're still dope.
Exactly.
You're still dope. You still got some tunes. You still look at you and look at us. Oh my! Come on, that goes off. That goes hard.
Word.
You're just not being Ross in the battle. It's cool.
Nah,
it's cool though. But still, gotta catch his brother.
Bruh. Exactly.
All right, man. Ryan's turn. I call Ryan, bro, man, for the 5th flow.
Yes, sir.
Ryan, what you got for us, man?
All right, so my first bro pick goes to the Brooklyn Nets. Luwawu Cabarrot, French player on the Nets. So it's the third. It's towards the end of the third quarter. The Nets grab the rebound. They throw it up to my guy Luwawu Cabarrot. Time is running out on the clock. My guy's like, I gotta get up the court fast. I gotta take this shot. My guy gets the ball near the baseline. He's falling out of bounds, and he throws up a shot. Just to look. There's 6.5 seconds left on the clock.
I will always have a smile on the face when the Brooklyn Nets are no bro picks.
Yeah. And I picked that specific bro pick just because it's the Nets.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You must do that. Highlight that, please.
Exactly. Next bro pick. The Dame, Paul George, and Patrick Beverley beef on IG. So, as you know, the Blazers and the Clippers played each other earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
Dame was at the line to take some clutch free throws. He missed. And if you were paying attention to the sidelines, Patrick Beverley was having a hoot.
What did he have?
Yeah, he was having a hoot. Like he was.
Where do you buy those? Where do you buy those hoots?
My guy was there wilding, laughing, chuckling it up.
Oh, funny.
At Dame missing his free throws. So after the game, Dame peeped that. So he was talking to the media, and he basically pointed out how he's already sent PG home in the playoff. He's already sent Patrick Beverley home in the playoffs.
Whoop.
And he sees it as a sign of respect. So after he said these comments, I believe it was Bleacher Report. Yeah, Bleacher Report posted it on IG. And then Paul George responded, and he was like, well, you being sent home this year, respect. And then Patrick Beverley chimed in, and he was like, Cancun on 3.
Oh! Yo, Cancun on 3.
So Dave saw these comments, and he responded specifically to Paul George, and he was like, keep switching teams. You're running away from the grind. You boys are chumps.
Oh, this is technically a oop pick because it's so good. But you don't give oop picks to anybody else. But I allow this.
Exactly. And then, to make matters worse, I believe it was Dame's sister jumped in now.
Oh, no, not the fan.
and she, I think she called, I think she called PG-13 a whore or something like that. Something along those lines. I gotta check it to make sure. I'm not 100%, but she called him something that started with a W.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
We don't know if that's happened.
Exactly. And then PG-13's wife chimed in, posted it to her story, and said, "Somebody please come and get this cow to Dame Lillard's sister." Oh man.
Is that the end?
That's the end right there.
Oh my God. I was about to say, and then the cow jumped in.
Yeah. So much disrespect being thrown left and right, yo.
Oh my God. Oh, too funny. Woo. All right, wait to bang.
Yes, sir.
Oh gosh. All right. That is our show, guys. If you're listening, definitely watch the show on youtube.com/show. If you have not, are you dumb? What is your problem? It's the best show on YouTube.
Word.
Also, shout out to Dash Radio. Shout out to Dash Radio as well for housing us on Nothing But Nets channel. Shout out to you guys. Also, the stuff is not on SoundCloud yet. It's coming. SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Nick of Time Show. All episodes up there, except for the last few because from the Roni. Beginning is up there. All right. Also, check out the blogs from my guys, man. There's gonna be a point guard blog coming from my guy Jeff. We have Ken who's gonna drop another blog talking about Scott Perry. That's pretty hilarious. So definitely watch out for that. And guys are working, man. We trying to get some things going and get some sponsorships. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Road to sponsorships. But yeah, that is our show. You can find me on Instagram as well at JEllisDrawStinks. That's JELLIS Drawstinks. Oh yeah, the website is on thenickoftimeshow.com, by the way, if you didn't know that. Don't forget the. Where can they find you, sir?
You can find me on Instagram at Sir G is Chillin'.
Sir G is chillin'.
That is SIR G is CHILLIN.
Yes. That is our show.
Yes, sir.
We out here.
Peace.
New York, big city of dreams.
I'm coming straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.